Hey everyone, how are you doing? My name is Tux Arature and I'm the owner and interior designer at the Baby Cut Shop in Chelsea. And I welcome you to our live chat with Esther Demery. This is one of the conversations that we decided to start having on a series called She Wins, because a lot of times I find that women do not a lot of times I find that women don't celebrate our wins. I don't know if you'd agree with me. We tend to just kind of brush it off, or we don't talk much about it, you know? How are you doing? Thank you for joining. Please invite your contacts, your friends, your followers to join the conversation, because I think it's going to be a really good one. It's about being a female entrepreneur, but specifically, Esther manufactures a brand of maternity leggings, and her brand name is Mary Marguerite. So super excited to have her on today, and she will be joining us very shortly. But I thought it would be a great idea to have a series of conversations with female entrepreneurs, well, male entrepreneurs too, so anyone in business, but especially people who are in the same industry as us, or if they are moms or just doing amazing things that are specific to women or specific to our field. So my company, the Baby Cut Shop, we specialize in the most beautiful furniture and interiors for discerning parents. And we're based on the King's Road in Chelsea. Our beautiful showroom, which is where I'm broadcasting from today, is the best place to work. So where are you all from? Oh, I see you, Esther. Esther, so if you tap the join, I haven't done a live in a while, so I'm starting to forget what to say. If you tap the join, get on live with the Baby Cut Shop or something like that, there is the word with. Oh, there we go. I see the request. So we thought we'll do a series of conversations. Mean they're hugely successful and they don't have any challenges or haven't faced challenges. My definition of winning is overcoming obstacles. Hey, there she is.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you very well. Can you hear
I
me?
can hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Esther, welcome to our She Wins conversation.
It's been a long time since we saw each other. It was before the pandemic, wasn't it?
My gosh, it has been. Oh my goodness, it has been. Oh, what the world was so different back then. We had no idea what we were walking towards. But you look amazing. It's so nice to have you on and nice to see you.
You too. Well, you always look wonderful.
Oh,
Always.
bless you. I try. I come down to the King's Road, Chelsea, and I've got to try and look like I don't look when I'm chatting with my kids at home.
Oh,
Oops, Esther, you've disappeared
I
for
know.
a while. I hear you, but I see a blank
Hold
screen.
on. Hold on.
Okay,
Did, hold on. Did you
no worries.
see me?
I saw you previously, but at the moment it's just gone blank.
Hold
I
on.
can see. What can I say? I saw your logo flash briefly.
Oh, hold on. I don't know why.
It's fine. You can
I
come. You can go out and come back in again, or
Okay.
switch off and come back on again, and be fine. Okay, so while we wait for Esther to come on, you're going to hear a bit of noise in the background because we're just literally having a delivery done at the moment, and they've chosen the perfect time to come and drop it off. So excuse the noise, but I'd love to know how you heard about this conversation about our live series, whether you are regular followers, whether you've shopped with us before. And if you haven't, we would love to see you in our boutique one of these days. So the reason why we're having these conversations is because, as I said, we struggle as women, many of us, not everyone, but many of us struggle to accept compliments. We struggle to acknowledge when we're doing things well. I don't know about you, but I do. I know that when someone says to me, well done, Tokes, you did amazingly well, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that hard, or I find a way to brush it off. If that's the same with you, please let me know that I'm not alone. So I thought, how about we have these live chats with a whole range of women, a whole range of people, from business owners to antenatal specialists to obstetricians and just anyone really that we think will serve our audience. one, to shine a light on what they're doing, but also to educate our audience, educate you on how to use whatever it is, product or service they are offering. Okay, Esther's come back on again. So hopefully that should be okay this time. So that's the whole idea. Tell me what you think. And if you know of anyone that really should join us, please send us a DM and suggest some names or some companies that we should have a live conversation with. I see you now, Esther.
I'm so sorry.
Don't
I don't know what.
listen. Don't worry. It's fine. It's okay. I mean, wasn't it me last week that started the live at 3 o'clock instead of 4? We're glad I got the time right this time. So, what's been your story? How did you get into the whole entrepreneurial space? How did you start your company, Mary Marguerite?
Well, for me, it was actually just about need. It was my own experience of pregnancy. I've got 3 boys. I think I've told you that before. We're both mums to. And it was during my pregnancies that I developed, much to my shock, hideous varicose veins, like really uncomfortable, not very attractive varicose veins, and my legs were extremely uncomfortable. And for me, that was a real shock because I'd been very active, you know, I tried to do all the right health advice, and I just wasn't really expecting to have that problem. So I lived in these, you know, those very unattractive stockings that you get given from the GP. Yes. And I used to hide them under my clothes because I found them so hideous, really, and not very attractive to look at. And it just led me to think that there must be a product out there on the market that did the job of, you know, medically tested graduated compression, but that looked fashionable, so that looked that I could wear the compression with my normal clothes. And I couldn't find that product because I was looking for leggings, really, something that I could wear normally and feel good, but that actually did the job of proper medical compression. So because I couldn't find it, I thought, well, how hard would it be to develop a product myself? So it was more, I came into it more from that point of view rather than thinking, start a business, what should I do? It was a sense of, I can see there's a gap for a product that I would have really liked to have. Why not give it a go? Why not give it a go? I mean, you know, I think from this angle, I might go, oh, that was a bit naive, because actually it's got hard work, you know, starting something from scratch.
From scratch.
That's how I got into it, really.
But that's always the best way, isn't it? Like the most inspiring stories and many of the best products are usually founded by people like you who saw a gap and a need, and they could feel the pain of the absence of that product or service in the market. And because they could feel the pain, because they could identify with the discomfort, they made the perfect product for it. And so many women suffer from varicose veins during pregnancy and even beyond. So I think that's really well done for stepping into it. And you know, you said something, you said, I can't remember how you worded it, but almost as though that was a crazy and naive. You said that was naive. I thank God for naivety, because it helps us to ensure that we actually do things. I think that if many of us had the full picture, if we could see the full story and we saw everything, and we could see what was ahead for us as business owners, we would just like, no, thank you, I'm not doing it.
I think that's right. And I think also that you have this, or one can have a very romantic idea of what being an entrepreneur is, and
yes,
it will be, you know, it will be this, that, and the other, you know. I mean, actually, I think the phrase that's helped me the most throughout my journey is, I somewhere that, and I can't even remember who said it, so it's not very good, but the quote was something like, overnight successes take years to happen.
Oh, I love that. Wow.
I love that, because so often you think, oh, if I don't do it by next week or next year, you know, it will be no good. But actually, like you say, when you start a project, you have no idea how long it will take. You know, and actually, like you said about the pandemic, you know, who knew that was coming, you know, right round. So
absolutely, you're right. And what you said has really, it's encouraging to me, because I found myself recently in a space of discontent and impatience. And you know, and I keep asking the question, why is this taking so long, or why is this so hard? And the answer came back to me in the form of a question: who told you it was supposed to be quick and easy? So that phrase you said, could you say it again?
Overnight successes take years to
Overnight
happen.
successes take years to happen. Okay, great. That's one that's going on my office wall for sure, because I need to be reminded of that. Wow. So how have things changed? So you went from, was this your first pregnancy when you created it, or was it your second or third?
Actually, it was after the third, so it was between 2 and 3 that.
Okay.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm sure your legs are gorgeous. I don't know whether you've ever struggled with veins or anything,
I
but
have one.
okay, generative thing. So if you do get a varicose vein, sadly they don't heal. So actually after my second pregnancy, they got a bit better because there was no longer all that pressure on my foundation. But I knew that if I had a third pregnancy, which I was hoping to do, I knew that the veins would come back and most likely be worse. Actually, it was between 2 and 3 that I started looking on the market for compression leggings, really, and I found products that claim to be compression, but actually, when you read the small print, they're just sort of. So I was looking for something that would give me that assurance that it was medically tested, so that it would do my legs good, but that I would look good. So I think that's the more tricky bit, like the medically tested and the fashionable. So it was then after my third pregnancy that when I'd had my third child, that's when I thought, well, actually, I would have loved that. And actually, even post pregnancy, I mean, a lot of women experience swelling after having given birth. And actually, even post, I thought, well, I would wear these now if I could find them. So I started developing them when I'd had the third child, and also because I hadn't gone back to work, in the same sense that I had before. I thought, well, I've got some time. Let's give it a go. Let's see where it is. And I kept setting myself little goals. Well, I'll, if the door's still open after that, then I'll keep going. And if the door's still open, and so I'm here going, because the goalposts move each time, don't they? Get to a stage, and then you really got to go a bit further. But so it was after my third child.
And then how did life change for you to go from not having a business to having one? Because something you said at the beginning was where it's presented as though it's this romantic experience that people have always romanticized. What was it like for you as a mom to 3 young children, or being pregnant and then having three babies?
I think there have been highs and lows. I think it's never been consistent. It's never been one thing or the other. The breakthroughs have been so thrilling, I think, because when you do something yourself, as I'm sure you'll know, anything that you do that goes well, it's all the credit's all yours, and those are all moments. And so the highs are high, but the lows can be quite low. Like I have found it lonely. I've been used to working in a team. I've been used to working with people, and then suddenly the way I did it was I was on my own, really. I other people, but mainly having to make the decisions and think things through, and that hasn't always been easy. And but then I've learned so much. I mean, the whole process, learned a huge going through it. So I think as a person, you take that step of faith, that risk. What am I doing? But I think it can be very rewarding. I suppose it depends how you're measuring it.
That's a good one. Yeah, good point.
But I think that I've learned so many things, and I look back and I wish perhaps I'd been a bit more entrepreneurial in my younger years, try things out, because actually when you do have a family and children, you can't quite.
That's right. You're not as free to just launch out and do things. Yeah, you're right. It's true. Yeah, I hear you. It's kind of been the same for me as well. I remember so we've been running for how many years? For 5 years as the baby cut shop before opening the shop on Kings Road. so we were the babycutshop.com online, and then we opened up on Kings Road. And I remember my neighbors at the time, they sold children's clothing, but it was jointly owned by three ladies, three friends. And I felt just pangs of envy from time to time, because that whole feeling of it's all on you, you know, you make all the decisions. And then if you're struggling with doubt and uncertainty and you don't even know if you're making the right call or not, you have no one to bounce ideas off, you know. So I found that a having a community of friends and people who are in business is really, really helpful. Like it's great to have people that you trust and you can rely on to bounce ideas off, and then they help you see what you can see.
Absolutely. Oh, well, I remember meeting you actually just when we had the stalls next to each other, didn't we, at the
Yes,
baby show?
that's right. Yes, yes, yes.
That chatting to people and seeing what other people are doing and asking. I think the hard thing is, and I'm sure this is right, people don't often share their doubts or their they're very good at sharing what's going well. But
Yes.
so I know what you mean about finding your
Yeah.
people that you can actually offload to and say,
Yeah.
I'm worried about this, or how
That's
do I,
right.
just that support, because you do need it, because it's not always black and white, is it?
No, it's not always black and white. And you're right. When I first started, so when I came back from the United States, I was in the US, as you know, for a while, and then lost everything and came back to England and started, at the time, the company was called Pumpkin Patch Interiors. And so when I came back and I started off, I remember just being so you know, just looking for stories of female entrepreneurs, looking for, I mean, I didn't even care if they were male or female, to be honest, but I wanted real life stories of people who were like me. I wasn't looking for the Oprah Winfreys of this world who had uh, success that just seemed so far-fetched, like so far-reaching is the word I should use, and distant, and you know, I just thought if I could only find stories of ordinary people who were like me, who had the same struggles I did, and who also dealt with doubts, and who also, and so I struggled to find that. And one person I found was Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She's my all-time business hero. She's my mentor in my head, and then my sister. Let me not call her my big sister because I think I'm older than her, but my sister in my head anyway. And I love Sarah Blakely's story. And I would play. There used to be a recording of her on YouTube where she gave a talk at one of Inc.'s conferences, and I would play that every single evening. And my children knew her story from back to front because it encouraged me to hear that successful women also dealt with doubts and uncertainty, and they got told no, and they faced rejection, and they had to project themselves in a certain way, and all of that was so encouraging to me. And I vowed at the time that I'm going to, once I get over the hump and once I successfully start a business, regardless of what level it's at, I'm definitely going to tell my story and have people share theirs as well, which is one of the reasons that you're on today.
Yes,
So
absolutely right. Absolutely right.
yeah, it's always so encouraging. So how have you balanced the whole thing? So, and how old are your boys now? You've got three boys, I have four, so we're both boy moms.
As you ask that question, I'm thinking, I hope they're outside. I've sent them all in the car. You know, I mean, I'd be lying to say if it's a constant juggle. And I think the real challenge, and I probably, it's the same from all mums, is that you do put your children first. Well, I put them first, and so I find that I'm working late at night or first thing in the morning, or trying to send my emails or put the Instagram post out, very late at night, because that's when the house is quiet and that's over. So it's it's a juggle. But I think what I love actually is there's one of my sons just now came in and helped me with my camera, and
Oh, sweet, yes.
they're excited, they're excited about things, and so it's lovely trying to bring them on the journey with me a bit, actually. So yeah, I don't know, how about you? How do you find it?
Exactly the same as you. I've dealt with moments of guilt because I run a lot on adrenaline. And so, especially when I first started out, I would spend hours on the computer updating the website and loading products on there and doing my research and so on. And my kids were young, and I'd feel so guilty. And so I shifted and started to do it when they were asleep. So
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I needed, but then that would make me really drained and tired in the morning. But that's what the early years were like. And it wasn't really a balance, it was more of a juggle, which is the word you use. So you just kind of have good days, you have bad days, you have days when everything goes well, and dinner makes it to the table on time and it looks and tastes good. And then you have days when it's like, okay, that's it. We're having takeaways or whatever it is that's in the freezer that's easy to get. So it has been, like you, a bit of a juggle over the years, but I really love the stage I'm in now. So my boys are older. My youngest is 15. My oldest is 23. I think he's 23. He is 23. So they're older boys now, and I love that they feel very involved. You know, they advise me. My youngest son, my second son sent me something the other day on WhatsApp, and it was just this whole thing about interior design and some using some of the latest technology. And I thought that I was so touched by that. I thought that was so sweet that he's doing his own thing, and then he's also thinking of mom. And I remember one day when they were younger, they would come to the when I before I had the shop, I had an office near my house, and they'll come to the office with me, and I'll get them to do filing or emailing stuff or filling out of spreadsheets and things like that. And one day the phone rang, and no, I called, and I remember exactly who it was I was speaking to. At the time, I was working towards getting a concession in House of Fraser. So I got on the phone and I spoke to the I can't remember what his title is, not the brand manager, but I spoke to the person who dealt with concessions, right? And when I was done kind of speaking to him and telling him I wanted to have a meeting with him, I said to him, "Thank you for taking the time to listen to me," and I hung up the phone. And my son said to me, "Mom, one day someone's going to say to you, thank you for taking the time to speak to me." And I was so touched by that, you know?
Absolutely. And do you think it's brilliant that boys grow up seeing their mums working and doing things? I think, as a mum to
Yes,
boys, it's a service we have to them to show them that women, can go out there and
absolutely.
brave and take decisions. I think it's really important for them to see that. That's such a lovely story.
I agree with you. It really is. And because the thing is, they spend so much time away from the house, whether it's at school or maybe watching TV or their devices, that there isn't a balance of information that's reaching them that tell them that women are able to run successful or head successful companies. And so we become that form of information to them. Like, we just being there alone, being their mom, and they're watching us means that we're actually teaching them something without even needing to use words. So I agree with you on that. So but now onto the actual product itself. So and it makes sense, and I can imagine. I'm thinking that the tights or the leggings that the GPs gave you were skin colored. They looked more like bandages. and
And actually, both my last two pregnancies were winter ones, so I mean it was ideal. I could just hide them. But you see, that's the thought I had. I kept thinking, what if I'm pregnant in the summer? How will
yeah.
I? I will. Well, how will I wear the compression? Because actually, I don't know.
Oh, your voice volume's gone off. Oh, it's gone off. 1 second. I don't think it's you. Hello? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, if you've worn compression, they do make your legs feel really good. So even though they don't look,
Oh.
they make your legs feel really light, and it is a good feeling. So I was worried about what would I do in the summer, because you can't go around with your feet covered. It's like wearing tights in the summer. So that's how I got to the idea of leggings, because leggings, you've got your feet open,
That's right.
and you could wear them under a skirt in the winter, or you could just with a long flowing top. And actually the fabric that we've used for it is really light and airy. So the idea was, get that that feel of compression socks, but the look of normal leggings or normal maternity clothing.
That's amazing. That's such a need. So do they then can you use it beyond pregnancy? Like do they shrink back to
Yeah,
normal size?
yeah, yes, you can wear them. So really interestingly, you can wear. I mean, I've trialed the leggings all the way through, and I'm no longer pregnant, and so you can.
Sorry. We don't know what's going on the King's Road today, but it's been nonstop. So every time they go they go past, it cuts your voice out. So apologies about that.
I can't remember what I was saying.
You were
But
that you've tried them, you've used it beyond pregnancy.
so and actually, I know a number of women who wear them who are not pregnant. So they're just perhaps loose around the top. But we've gone on to develop a non-maternity style actually as well, just because the benefits of proper compression are for everybody. I mean, I know women. Sorry, I'm talking lots and probably not explaining things very well. So as part of creating the leggings, I had to go through a process of to get a British standard of medical compression. I've had to check it along the way and test it. And part of the journey, I ran a clinical trial with a surgeon. So he put his name to the trial. We found pregnant women who had circulatory issues, and we asked them to trial the leggings and report back to whether they actually help. Because that was, for me, that was crucial. That it wasn't just about looking good; it was actually helping, like properly making women feel good on every level. And part of that trial, there was a few women who came on board who weren't pregnant, and one woman I'm thinking of particularly who suffers from endometriitis, who as part of that you apparently get very painful legs. I didn't know that. Pressure really helps with that. I've come across another woman with arthritis. Wearing compression really helps relieve arthritic symptoms. Another woman who whenever she has her period once a month, her legs swell. So compression really helps. So that kind of made me think, actually, yes, pregnancy, it's really crucial because, varicose veins, leg swelling, all those issues that we're all quite familiar with. But then women, even beyond that, compression is really good for them. And actually, women don't want to be wearing, those stockings every day.
Yeah, no, not the bandage looking things.
Yeah, and even if you've had an operation or broken an ankle, legs well. So actually, there's a whole.
Wow.
So that's why I have gone on to create a non-maternity style too. So I haven't really put that out in the market yet, but that is a line for it, just because it's such a wonderful thing for women to wear.
That's so good to know. I had no idea about half of the things, more than half of what you just said. Literally didn't have an idea, but that's really, really good to hear. So it's going to be available for everyone anyway, eventually, at least for all women. Oh, that's awesome. So are there any other brands on the market, and how does yours, you don't need to mention them, but how does Mary Marguerite differ from others? I think you've already said more than half of what I'm asking you, actually.
Well, I think it's interesting. There are products out there, I think I said before, non-maternity products that claim to be compression. But if you read the small print, there's no testing, there's no compression level. So actually, they're not really. They're slightly fabric. So no, there isn't a product doing exactly what I'm doing.
That's amazing. That's really, so this is so well known. We're going to leave the website's details and all the information on the replay comment thingy so that people can go to your website and find out more about it. But I think that's amazing, and especially the fact that you went as far as having clinical trials done as well, which I know is extensive, and it's a lot, and it takes a long time, and it's very intense as well. So well done, Esther. I don't know how you're doing it, but you're doing it. So well done. So now I mentioned that I have one varicose vein. I can't show it here, but it's kind of up behind my thigh. And I think it's a varicose vein only because, I mean, it's really this small, and it pops out, but it's not painful, and it's never been painful. Is that a varicose vein or not?
Oh, I'm not qualified to say, but when veins are prominent and bulgy,
That's
they
what it
often are.
is. Okay, so I thought so. So
But
now, what are they harmful at all during pregnancy? Like what causes? Do you know why we even get that at all?
yeah, well, they're caused by, so there's a combination of factors. So genetics play a part. So if
Oh,
your grandmother had them, chances are you might. So that's one thing. It's the increased blood volume. So if you think when you're carrying a baby, all the extra blood in your system, it just puts more pressure on the vein.
I see.
If you think, and then you've got the hormones, the pregnancy hormones that relax the walls of the veins so that they're looser, so it's harder for them to push the blood back. So that's why that kind of combination of extra blood flow, hormones, and then if you're genetically disposed. And actually, sometimes women do get varicose veins during pregnancy, and they do go away afterwards. So sometimes they do, but in my case they didn't. But the other thing is that when you're pregnant, or when you're not pregnant, there are so many wonderful vascular surgeons out there who can treat veins very quickly and easily and remove them, and they're not harmful. They're just a bit unsightly. But you know, although it's interesting, isn't it? I think that so I'm quite challenged now. So when I was pregnant and I had these veins, I thought they were so ugly, and I was so embarrassed about them, and I didn't tell any. In fact, I didn't even show my midwife for months, not until I think a month before my second son was born. And I look back now and I think, why was I so
Embarrassed?
It's like a badge of honor. That's part of, you know, it's like stretch marks, and I think we're much better talking about stretch marks.
That's right.
You know, and actually being pregnant, there are lots of things that happen to your body that perhaps you wouldn't choose to happen, but actually it's part of the badge of being a mum, you know. And I think that I wish that I'd been more open about it and not so embarrassed, because it was just one of those things, you know. And actually, if I see a woman now with varicose veins, I would tell her how beautiful she was, and the legs are, that they're strong and they're working and they're you know. So I think I think that message needs to be heard a bit more in pregnancy. Yes,
I agree. I absolutely agree.
But you're beautiful and you're doing an amazing thing.
Right. I absolutely agree. I think also it comes with age, you know, because now I'm doing a lot of reflection. I'm hitting a milestone birthday very soon, and I've been doing a lot of looking back and reflecting, and the things that I was either ashamed about or embarrassed about. I'm like, what on earth? You know, I've even looked at old pictures of myself when I know that when I had taken those photos, I had a complaint, oh, my cheeks are too big, or this is too something, or maybe even my hair. And I look and I think, you were absolutely gorgeous in this photograph. So I think that age has something to do with it, but also the message that's been going down, even sometimes from our parents and grandparents, where we have been advised to cover up unsightly areas, and then the language that's used in advertising. You know, sometimes they would advertise a top, and they say it would hide unsightly areas, or where this, or there is a word they use, forgiving, or this dress is very forgiving to bulges, you know, almost as though it's something that we should run away from, we should hide, or beg someone's forgiveness for even having it in the first instance.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, the pregnancy magazines are often full of very glamorous looking women, you know, not a hair out of place. And actually the reality, I mean, I don't know about you, but I never bloomed. I always felt a bit I didn't feel brilliant during pregnancy. I mean, I wouldn't have changed it, and it's a, you know, privilege to carry a child, and, you know, my boys now, I wouldn't swap them for all the world, but you know, it was hard work. And I think sometimes I think we're much better than we were, but, like, you know, on Instagram, you know, you don't see women showing their varicose veins very much, do you? People,
I've never seen that, actually.
And actually, I think, you know, pregnancy, it is a wonderful time for many, but it is quite a vulnerable time. You know, your body changing in ways that you might not have expected it to. You might not, like, well, varicose veins, it's not life-threatening, but it's not very comfortable, and you do good. So I think it was having that mum in my mind as I was creating, that I wanted to make something that would really help, would support, would make, you know, not just help with those symptoms, but also make them feel that they were wearing
That's
normal clothes, that they look.
right. And also feel comfortable as well, because there's also so there is the physical side of pregnancy, but there's the emotional side as well. Like you're already feeling pretty much out of sorts. You're wondering if you're going to do it right as a mother. There's just so many questions and so many. I always describe me getting pregnant as having emotions I didn't even know existed, and not necessarily negative emotions. There were just some things I couldn't put my finger on. And you don't want to add to that the discomfort of varicose veins, and or the discomfort of how you look because your veins are showing and you have nothing nice to cover them with. So that's really, really cool. So that's staying stylish in pregnancy is so necessary, not because we're trying to impress anyone, but because it makes us feel better when we look better, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What are some key items, some key clothing suggestions that you would say for, I hope I'm saying it right, a capsule collection, like just your basic pregnancy wardrobe? What would you suggest, even from your own experience, as what did you enjoy wearing?
Well, I'm obviously going to say have a pair of compression something in your drawer. So obviously I'd love you to buy my compression leggings, but if you don't want leggings, get some compression socks or something that would help you, remove
Well, there's
swelling
no
in.
other one on the market, so you guys have got to get Mary Marguerite Leggings.
But I used to love those big tops with a slightly ruched at the side, so that you could wear it over, but it
Yes.
but not too much, not too much.
Mhm.
I mean, I lived in a lot of stretchy tops and leggings, really. And then I think I found it, well, I'm not very tall actually, so I found it very difficult to find trousers that,
Trousers.
yeah, but I am quite small. So,
Mm.
so how about you? What do you
What did
suggest?
I loved, I actually loved leggings, but it had to be comfortable on my bum,
Yeah,
because some of them are scratchy, and they're not very, because already your tummy is pretty stretched and you don't want to. So I liked, if I had one pair of leggings, it's been such a long time now and I don't remember where I got them from, but they were soft and comfy on my tummy. And then I love the leggings with a large top. I kind of liked it being out there, like just really flowy. I wasn't too concerned about my weight because I started off very skinny anyway, and I always wanted curves. So I was happy to have the extra weight. Very comfortable pair of flat shoes for
yeah,
sure, so that you can feel balanced. I mean, especially as you start to get heavier, you just kind of want, comfortable flat shoes. Cotton, if you're pregnant during summertime, you want cotton, some breathable fabric that's comfortable on your skin, and uh, very comfy pajamas as well is really important.
yeah,
So
yeah.
those are some of my go-to ones. I mean, pregnancy style has come such a long way from the days of when I was pregnant. So now there is a lot of choice. There are brands out there like Seraphine Maternity and Tiffany Rose and a few others. So that's a good thing. Cool. We have a question from the audience. I think we've actually. Okay, so this might be, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I'll read it out. What specific pieces of maternity clothes should a pregnant woman have? We've sort of answered that, I think. This is for moms out there who are on a tight budget and find it impractical to spend so much money on clothing that can only be worn for months.
Yeah. I think that's the hard thing, isn't it? I mean, but actually, I think it's looking at things that you could wear beyond, so not just during pregnancy. So even if you buy a size bigger of a top, something that you could wear. I actually used to borrow a lot of my husband's
Oh,
jumpers towards the
nice.
end, coats, because particularly a winter coat you don't want to buy.
Yes.
And well, I didn't, but so I would borrow a larger size, or a cardigan that you could perhaps have a tiny bit of the bump showing, but do up at the
Yeah.
top. I mean, I think that's the hard thing, isn't it? And actually, that's why with the leggings we've made is you can wear them beyond, like they're
Beyond
not,
pregnancy, yeah.
you don't want to spend a huge amount because you've got the baby to
That's
think about, you've got
right.
to think about. Yeah. Do you find that in your, in the cot shop, are you mainly dealing with the baby side of things, or do you talk to mums about maternity wear as
We
well?
do both. So we do both. Not a lot of maternity wear, but a lot of advice on pregnancy. Sometimes we do recommendations for people who, either obstetricians, private obstetricians, or healthcare specialists. We also, most of the bulk of it is on the nursery, but I love it when a woman comes in and she's like, I'm expecting a baby and I have no clue what I want. And so we're able to talk them through everything, like you need the Moses basket for the first 3 months or the crib for the first 6 months. So a lot of people come in and they would have been told or read somewhere or had the assumption that you start off with a Moses basket, then you move them to a crib, then you move them to a cot, when really you don't need to do that, because for starters, the newborn can actually sleep in the cot from day one. But healthcare professionals do suggest and recommend that baby stays with you in your room for the first 6 months. So for that reason, we always recommend a crib. So the crib would last for 6 months. And then questions on how long they can stay in the cot for, when to move it up and down, and just then of course the interior design side of things, which we're very big on, designing the entire nursery, which we can do from scratch. We do design nurseries from scratch, whether or not you have an idea of what to do, or we take your ideas and we just bring it to real life. So we do the whole spectrum. But I also love, because I'm a mom of 4, another aspect I love about being at the baby cut shop is when I meet a mom who's already had her baby and she's feeling out of sorts and feeling emotional and just feeling needing some encouragement. Because I remember what it was like for me when I had my first son. I had a great pregnancy. It was perfect. I got to the labor ward and I wasn't dilating, I think is what happened. And eventually I had to have an emergency C-section, which I was cool with. That was okay because I had read all the books and I'd read all the magazines, but I was not prepared for my first night at home. I think I spent 5 days in hospital and I got home and I was exhausted. I was exhausted because somehow I got it into my head. Maybe I watched way too many Hollywood movies, got it into my head that someone was going to switch my baby in the hospital. And so I barely slept for 5 days while I was there. So I get home on my first night and I knew we were safe in the house. I lay down and fell asleep. And I slept so deeply. Baby was in his cot. I slept so deeply and I was awoken by this piercing noise. And I was like, what on earth is that? I was like, what is that sound? I'd forgotten I'd had a baby. And then I wasn't prepared for the rush of emotions. I wasn't prepared for the rush of advice from well-meaning friends and family, and then the confusion that would follow because I didn't know whose advice to go with, right? So all of that uncertainty, when I had my second and then my third and then my fourth, I was like, oh, I had nothing to worry about. And the one advice I always give our moms is there is no right or wrong way to love your child and to mother them. You go with how you feel like you want to mother them because you were created for that child, to bring that child into the world. And an example I use, which I think is so fascinating about the miracle of birth, is that the milk that a mom produces when the baby is born prematurely is different from the one that the mom produces when the baby goes full term. And your body literally adapts to the need of your child, and which I think is just mind-blowing. So with that in mind, it means that even emotionally you're adapted to the needs of your child, and even mentally you think about how you want to raise your child. Your best friend may be doing it differently, and that's fine, but you do what you feel comfortable with, and it's okay.
You're so well placed then in your shop to give it.
Thank you so much. So with that, this has been such a great conversation, Esther. I can't wait to hear about the launch of the extension of Mary Marguerite Leggings. And I look forward to seeing it on the shelves everywhere because it's such a great product and it's so needed.
I want to thank you for being such an encourager. You've been
Oh,
such encouraged me so much a few years ago, and I think that's what we need. We need to encourage each other just to keep going.
oh, thank you so much. This has been a joy. It's wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you again this time. Last time we had coffee. This time we're going to have lunch. We have to go bigger.
Okay. Well, Takes, thank you so much.
You are welcome, my dear. Thanks for coming on and letting us chat with you. This has been wonderful. And so, and please, what's the website? Could you say your web address as well?
It's www.marymarguerite.com.
Okay, great. And Mary, and I'm gonna put it on the comment box so that you can log on there. I'm also going to put her Instagram handle. She's going to be tagged. And we also have a YouTube channel, and this is going to be pushed over there as well. And so all the information is going to be there. And for everyone that's joined us today, thank you. And if you're watching on the replay, I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Let me know of any other female or male business person or anyone in the baby industry. Baby industry sounds like we make babies and sell them, so I didn't mean to say that. the antenatal pregnancy baby whole thingy, you know what it is. It's like 5 o'clock. I'm a little bit tired, but I'm so thankful that you joined us today. And we're based at 408 Kings Road in London, and our web address is thebabycutshop.com. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks, Esther.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.